Okay, so I wanted to talk about the type of grout that I'm using because they're in the process of phasing out the sand aggregate and the unsanded. So typically you go in the home improvement stores and you have two varieties. You have sanded and unsanded. So what they're going to is this Ultracolor Plus FA. The FA stands for fine aggregate, and so this is, will fill the wide gaps, because sanded is what you use for the wider gaps, and then the narrow gaps you use the unsanded. So you'll see a lot of the unsanded used in bathrooms on the walls, and then on your flooring you typically see the sanded grout used. So the FA is going to be used to phase out the other two varieties, and this would be the only one. And so this will be used for all applications of grout, at least by this particular vendor. So the other there's a bonus with this, is that there's a couple bonuses actually. Is that it has the sealant within it, so you don't have to worry about sealing at all, or the smelly aerosol spray sealants. It's already in there, so that's a good thing. And the other good thing is that, so the other types of grout, when you're done grouting, leaves like a haze, and if you don't get to that in time, you are scrubbing it. It's just such a painful job to scrub down that haze if you don't polish it off in time on the other varieties. You apply this, and then you come back and you just use the sponges or old rags or whatever, and just wipe it down, and that wipes off that haze. So you just use some water on an old rag or a sponge to clean that off. So we're about to begin this. Just follow the instructions for mixing it. Now, one thing, here's the downside with this variety, is that when it starts to cure, it goes quick. And so I don't think any do-it-yourselfer is going to be able to mix this whole bag and put it all out before it goes bad. I wasn't able to get, I only got half of a 10-pound bag because I've already used this type one time, and I couldn't complete a 10-pound bag without it curing. I only used about 5 pounds of it. So this doesn't show you, because I don't have a good scale, because I'm going to proportionally pull out the grout. But this doesn't show you like volume. So what I did is, this is 25 pounds. So I used cups. I just scooped them out. So there's about 30 cups of this grout in here. So so that's 30 pounds. So that's 30 pounds, and I only want to do 5 pounds at a time. And so I'm going to just do a small amount. So so for this whole bag, 25 pounds or 30 cups, you'll use, it recommends 2.6 to 2.8 quarts of water. So I'm going to have to, I did the math. So I'm going to be using 6 cups to get that 5 pounds. And then I'll be doing 0.25 quarts, if I want to be real particular, of water for my blend. So go ahead and get the big bag, but just make sure you do the math, because you do not want to mix this all at one time. I'm doing 5 pounds at a time. Now this time I did it, but the first time I did it by myself. This time my wife's going to help me. We may be able to handle 10 pounds at a time, but we're just going to do 5 and see how it goes. So that's the downside with this, is it goes quick, and I would just proportion it out. So again, 30 cups is about what this is made up of. It's 25 pounds, but equals out to 30 cups. The other thing I want to show you, so when you do that, there's a phase where, so you apply it with the sponge, you apply the grout with the sponge, you come back through and wipe it down to kind of clean those grout lines and make the grout line look good. You'll obviously have the haze. Then you're going to come back through, and this is how I do that wash down, where I was talking about using clean sponges or old rags that where they're wet. I got this big pile of what's going to be old rags, and I have a bucket of water. So when I get to that part where I'm cleaning up the haze, I'm going to use this shirt one time. I'm going to dip it, get it wet, and I'm going to wipe it down. When it's all dirty, I'm not going to use it again. That way, you're not having to come through a second time to clean that haze off. So just go through and just try to use your cloth once, and that kind of make it easier for you. You could go out and rinse it and everything, but this is kind of the approach that worked for me last time. It's just using an old rag one time to wipe that bit of haze off. And I think I removed that haze maybe about an hour or two afterwards. You probably can do it right away because it's not really clear on the instructions. It just shows a little picture to come back through and wipe it down. So you could probably do it right away. You can wash them. What I did is because I have some that from my last time around. So here's an old towel that I used. I just went outside and rinsed it real good. So you can reuse them. You don't have to throw them away. Just reuse them for as you move along in your tiling job. Okay, so we got the living room area done, and so whenever you're done, or if you're like us, like me, your job may end up looking a little messy at the end with mortar and stuff. So a way to clean up that mortar real easily is to use vinegar water. So it's like a 1 to 4 mix, and
1 part vinegar and 4 parts water.
1 part vinegar and 4 parts water. Now my wife just poured it in this time. She didn't measure it exactly, but that does knock that.
With some elbow grease.
Yeah, with some elbow grease and just like a scrub sponge. Like here's an example of a sponge here. It's got a scrubby side, and so that vinegar will tear that mortar off. So you'll do that, and then you'll go through and mop it with some water, and just to get that haze off because it's been
dry.
And then you follow that up with a towel. So vinegar water. Vinegar water.
Scrub it with vinegar water.
Yeah. So scrub it with vinegar water, followed up with mopping with plain water.
And dry immediately.
And then dry immediately.
That's the secret.
So as you can see, the tiling is done. It was quite involved because I wrapped around not only from the living room but on into the dining room and into our schoolroom. So it took a while. And then as you can see, we tied it all the way into our kitchen. I'm still working on that effort to redo the cabinets. One other thing I wanted to point out is for tying my tile into the entryways underneath the framing, I used an oscillating saw to do that. So when I'm talking about this right here, my tile actually goes underneath this. But in order to do that, you want to cut it at the right height. So you use an oscillating saw, and it just kind of cuts right there. But what you'll need to do in order to get a precise cut is you figure out, how high off the floor the tile is going to be with, sitting on top of the mortar. And then once you figure that out, what I would do is I would just kind of get some cardboard and some wood and get it at that height. So like I would take pieces of cardboard, stack it, and then I'd take like a piece of wood, and then that gave the oscillating saw a nice flat surface to make the cuts. So that's one way to do that is just figure out the height that it needs to be. And one way to do that is bring the tile as close as you can. So I brought the tile as close as I could, and then I would just maybe take a level and then make a little line on the post here, and then I'd get the height just right. With this, I'd stack enough cardboard and wood, and that would give me a nice straight line. So you cut in there, and then clean all the wood out from underneath your cut, and then that way you're able to tile underneath. And then the other thing is, as you get closer to entryways, you obviously want to pre-cut everything out, and because you're not gonna. It's just to puzzle it all in. You want to be ready to go. Your mortar, is only good for so long. So make sure you have some good cuts all ready to go, so you can just kind of puzzle it all in. Okay, wanted to show you this area here where I tied in the wood look tile to this square pattern tile. So obviously the goal is to make it all on plane, so it's kind of a nice clean transition. There was a challenge, however, with the wood look tile because you're buttering the back of it because of it's a larger tile. So there was kind of a little bit of a rise on the wood look tile, so I was kind of scared that that wasn't going to look good, but I was able to clean that up by tapering grout. So you don't want it to be that much higher, but you can clean it up by tapering the grout. And what I did here is I just put some painter's tape, a nice straight line on this pattern tile, and then I put the grout down, and then I was able to taper it. I think I had maybe I applied the grout maybe twice. And I kind of came back once that first level of grout had kind of dried up, so kind of cleaned it up real nicely. And because I was, like I said, I was afraid that it wasn't going to look good, but it did end up looking good, and I don't have to do a transition piece or nothing like that here. Another thing you want to be conscious of, even when you're using the leveling system, is the tendency sometimes for this tile to vary, like where this tile here went kind of low, this tile over here went kind of high, and that's because of the fact that these tiles, because they're long, they have that natural curve, and so it can be kind of challenging. So you just want to be aware of it. So this one, this was an area maybe where I think I was moving a little quickly on, and wasn't aware that this tile on this side kind of sank low, and then you had the curve on this tile. So it's hard to see in the video, but there's kind of it's probably one of my worst variations here, but most of it turned out good using, with the help of a leveling system. But in situations, because this was early on when I first started tiling, but as I went along in the process, I got better at it. I just was more aware of when they were off, and so a lot of times if I laid a tile down and there was a big variation, I would pull it back up, and I would just kind of taper in some more mortar on the back of the tile, and that would help to alleviate some of those variations. So that's something just to be aware of. You may have to kind of add some more butter to the back of your tile. All right, as you can see, we got this all wrapped up. We did cover quite a bit of square footage, so this did take a significant amount of time to do, a couple months, several months. Kind of lost track of time. But if you're a do-it-yourselfer and you'll throw yourself into a project, don't be afraid to do this. You'll get better as you go. My tiling kind of improved as I went along with this. And we definitely like the way this wood look tile looks. With this wood look tile, they are able to put a lot of texture into the ceramic, and so it really makes it look real. And so just a great way to give our house a modern look, and looks great. Hopefully this will be timeless because I'm not pulling this up. But if you're willing to take some evenings, some weekend time, and dedicate to something like this, you can do this type of project. And as you can see, in here in the kitchen, we got this dark wood look tile brings out the orangeness of our kitchen, and we were actually redoing that. So that's kind of one of the last phases of this effort to update in our house. So hopefully this was able to help, and to like and subscribe my videos, put some questions down. If you have them, I'm definitely not an expert. I'm just somebody that will throw myself into something and figure it out. And so that's where I think I can be an encouragement to you, because if I could do it, you definitely can as well. So anyways, God bless, and subscribe to my channel, and you'll see more videos as I figure my way out through future projects.